Welcome to the Busy Signal. My name is Jim, and this is my retro-nostalgic 80s, 90s, and early 2000s podcast. This show aims to salute all the stuff from back in the day that is now extinct or quickly going that way. Hey everybody, it's that time of year. Back to school? So, in recognition of back to school, we kind of have a different episode for you. It's a special episode. And my guest today isn't here to talk about toys, games, snacks, or old technology. Today, my guest is here to share his experience of having been part of television history. If you are a Gen Xer, Zennial, or elder millennial even, you must have likely been in contact in one way, shape, or form with the ABC after-school specials. Even if you never actually watched them, you know what they are. You saw the commercials and you knew that they were kind of a big deal.
Looking back at some of the great moments on this season's after-school specials, the almost royal family.
I think we inherited our own country.
Princess Suzanne.
A fairy tale comes true.
I send our best wishes to her.
Mom's on strike.
I'm tired of being everybody's round-the-clock servant.
Mom hits the picket line and the family hits rock bottom.
When is it all gonna end?
Summer switch.
I'd give anything to be in his shoes.
A father and son trade places and trouble's the result. Out of step.
You have got something the other kids don't have.
5, 6, 7, 8.
A young girl is determined to be the best.
But I'm a good dancer.
I want to go home.
I think we should strike out on our own.
A mother kidnaps her own children.
You tricked us. I had to.
I want to go home.
These will be back along with new shows. So join us next season for more great entertainment on the ABC After School Specials.
Yes, they were a big deal. 51 daytime Emmys can back that up. The program ran from 1972 to 1997. The episodes were 60 minutes a pop, and they aired late in the afternoon on weekdays, after school, and they were special. So let's welcome my good friend Dave, who's here to talk about an after-school special he was actually involved in. Dave, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jim, for inviting me in.
Dave, you and me have been friends for quite a while, and a couple years ago, you let me in on this secret that when you were a youth, you were involved with an after-school special. I just want to know, how did that even happen? How does one become an extra or any kind of involved in an after-school special?
Well, Jim, that is exactly what it is. The whole production came to my high school, and they were looking for extras. They were going to film it at the high school. They were going to use the town as the setting, a little bit of the town next to our town. And they asked for people to, volunteer. You get paid. I forget what it was, per week or per episode, whatever. And you didn't have a speaking part. You basically were going to be in whatever scenes they wanted to put you in, and whatever they told you to do, you would do. So obviously different costumes, different, backgrounds in the city and in the school itself. And that was the whole premise, of the whole after school special. Of course, you'll get into a little bit of what it was about.
Right. So what year was that?
They probably filmed it in 88.
Yeah.
And they held it over till 89.
It aired January 19th, 1989. Now, you mentioned they came to your high school. Your high school at the time, the town was?
It was Bayonne.
Bayonne, New Jersey.
Yes, Bayonne, New Jersey.
So that was Bayonne High School.
Yes.
And ABC just decided to come on in there and say, hey, we want to film here.
Yeah, for whatever reason, they checked it out. They liked the way the school was set up. I don't really know anything beyond that, but it actually served their purpose. When you see lots of the scenes, and anybody who's familiar with that school would agree, like it just kind of welcomed itself in there,
So the episode that you were in was season 17, episode 4, and it was called Taking a Stand.
Correct.
It's a rough episode. I've watched it a couple times.
It's the 80s, my friend.
But they did not shy away from anything. I mean, after school specials dealt with a whole range of topics over the however many years it was that it ran from 1972 to 1997. I mean, drugs, violence, all those things that, it was basically an hour-long public service announcement, theatrically.
It's 9:30. Do you know if your kids are still alive?
It's tough being a hero.
Was that what it's called?
Taking a stand. Next.
And yours is Taking a Stand, and it specifically deals with racism in a town. A black family wants to move into the town, and they were not met kindly. And there was what they called in the episode, they called it racial intimidation. It's a hate crime. A hate crime was committed. Something was painted on a house to prevent somebody from moving there. And there's a district attorney who wants to prosecute. And only one of the neighborhood members, a teenage boy, has enough guts to say, I saw what happened and this is who did it. That's pretty much the premise of the episode, correct?
That's right. He's taking a stand against the wrongs that are happening. And I would say the message is correct. The way they played it out would seem very rough if people look at it now, as you said.
It did say in the beginning it was based on true events.
Yes.
It seems like it's based on true events that are still happening today.
Yes.
The episode had a couple big stars in there. It had Betty Buckley, whom at the time we knew from Eight is Enough.
That's correct.
And the movie Carrie. And then we had Dan Lauria, I think I'm saying that last name right, who was the father from Wonder Years. We have Michael Beach, who was not known at the time, but he's a huge character actor. And he's been in, if you look his IMDb up, he's in everything. I mean, I think he's even been in Aquaman more recently.
Yeah. I remember him from Third Watch. Once I recognized him from there, I was like, oh, that's the guy that was in my movie, you know?
Yeah. And the sister to the boy who is taking the stand, that's Jane Addams. And she's another very good character actor. I remember her specifically from one scene in You've Got Mail. So we've got people that are big names in this after school special. I mean, if you were to go back and look at the after school special lineup of who's been in them, man, there's a lot of people, a lot of famous people that either got their start in after school specials or were already established in these after school specials. This was a big deal. So
right.
Did you meet any of these stars?
You would meet them, but they weren't like necessarily, I would say they kind of stood away from all the people that were the extras.
Right.
You know, so you'd meet them, but you really wouldn't get to know them.
Sure.
I guess there was, if you made yourself known, but I wasn't looking for any of that. I didn't even know, like, again, you said some of these people weren't necessarily famous at this point. So
that's true.
You didn't know anything about them at that point. I mean, Betty Buckley, yes. Yeah, maybe a high wave. Good that you're here, but.
Right. A lot of her scenes, it seemed like, were either in the house, like her house, or it seemed like she was a singer at a nightclub.
She was, yeah.
And eventually, she loses her job because nobody wants to go see her sing because they don't want her son to testify about this.
Yep.
Like I said, this whole situation went from bad to worse because the whole neighborhood was on board with what happened, and she was not, and neither was her son.
Right.
So they put pressure on her. Like they stabbed her tires.
Yep.
They destroyed her garden out front. They beat her son up.
Yes.
When I say they, I mean you were there.
I was in the scene with the rest of the crew that, chased him down on, I don't even know if that was prom night. It looks like prom night.
I believe
That's
it was.
Pretty much, yeah, it was. And that was the whole scene, that he's going to get it tonight.
Right. How many days was ABC there filming this after school special?
Well, the week that I was in it, I was obviously in it that week, but they were there for more than a week. I would say at least 2 weeks, if not long.
Okay. But you were there for like a week involved in it.
Yeah. See, the thing is, there might have been, in my mind, it seems like all 1 week, but I don't think they did it all in 1 week. They had to at least be there 2 weeks.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, how did they contact you?
Oh, no, they just solicited students to, if you're interested in acting, interested in becoming an extra, they need people for this, for this series that's going to be filmed there. And that's basically all you had to do was let them know.
And they were like, hey, you're good?
Yeah, they didn't care. They just wanted bodies, in the background for different scenes.
And once they selected you,
I don't even know why. I'll be very honest. I don't even know why I said yes to that. I think it was just the draw of being in something. I didn't even care about the people, and I got my car in it. So that was a big deal to me.
And your car was?
It was a 1980 Mustang.
Was it a hatchback? Was it a convertible? What was it?
No, it was a 2-door. No, not a convertible, just a 2-door hard top.
What color?
White.
Nice.
That was probably the only thing I was like, oh, you need cars too.
That's a great car to have in something like that too.
Well, yeah, just remember the time, you're a kid and you're, oh, I'm going to be on camera. As you know, I remember all the scenes I was in and they cut you out. They did a lot of cutting. I mean, a lot of my friends that were the extras also were in there. Some people I didn't know, but they were part of the school. that I would normally not associate with other than getting involved in this.
But once they did select you, how did they keep in contact with you for scenes? Did you have to go certain places, certain times?
Yeah, they would just tell you where to show up. Again, they're doing a lot of cuts. So they're filming it and then they're cutting it afterwards. And you're not sure. You might spend the whole day there. You might spend half a day there. You're not sure what they're going to do.
Yeah, what was that like? What was filming like? I'm sure there was a director who told you where to stand and what to do, and you go here and do this at this time.
Yeah, we're just creating this scene. I remember there's one scene in there that, we're down at this water area. I don't know if you could tell it's a water area. It looks like a park and there's an ice cream truck.
Yeah, I remember that scene very well.
Yeah, okay. And they're all like, we're just making it look like what it is. And then the actors are having I don't know if they were having an argument at that point or whatever.
Technically, right then and there was the sister of the boy who was taking the stand. The sister's boyfriend was there with her and pretty much telling her, this isn't our problem. Your brother should just shut up. If he would just shut his mouth, all the problems would go away. And Everybody wants that. And she's just kind of realizing this is the kind of guy she's with.
Yes.
And then you're in the background of that, right? Like an ice cream truck?
Yeah, my car's in that scene where cars are on the street. That was cool for me because I know, nobody else needs to know it. The other scene was in the neighborhood on prom night, of course. The other scenes were at the gym, Bufano's gym in Jersey City, which doesn't exist anymore, but it was very famous in its day.
When you say that was a famous gym, that was a gym in Jersey City, very old gym where actually like famous boxers would train.
Yes.
And some of them would go on to fight Muhammad Ali. I think there was at least one of them I might have read.
Yeah, well, Chuck Wepner was involved in their training. I don't remember the fight. I think that might have been against Ali, but I know it was, we can look that one up because it does say it online. It was an old gym. It was a rundown. It was a classic, boxer's gym that, you'd want in like a Rocky,
Oh, it looks like it's straight out of Rocky. They did a great job.
Oh, they didn't really have to do too much to it to dress it up.
No, I don't think so. It looked dirty and grungy and just how you would think a boxing gym should look.
Yes. And then distinctly, I remember going up the stairs to the gym. And it's so funny because one of the scenes is...
I was just going to say, there is a scene where there's a whole bunch of guys standing at the bottom. They are ready to pound this kid. And then the trainer shows up. But the one thing I really noticed about that staircase, that is the creakiest staircase I've ever heard in my life. And it comes across.
Yes. Nothing was added to that. That's exactly what it was like. And all those scenes in the gym, and they told, you were not guaranteed to be in any scene. So whatever they told you to do, a lot of my friends were in some of those scenes, the different friends that I had at that point in time. And they were, they put their boxing gloves on. We all had you have to do this, you have to do that. But they were really focused on the two guys in the ring, in the ring. And that was their focus. We were just background, noise, if you will.
Right. No, you were there to make it look,
Yeah, that's all.
Yep. So this is kind of a personal question. Once you're selected, you're one of the people from your school. Are you famous now in your school?
If you let people know, but if you didn't say anything, which I really don't remember if I did or did not, maybe to my close friends I did. But it wasn't like, widespread. You know what I mean? Like it didn't become like a viral thing. There was nothing like that. It was just like an event.
Did they film during school? Was there a disruption to the normal day at Bayonne High School?
No, mine were not during the school day, if I recall it correctly. That's a good question, though, because I'm sure they did do during the day. And I just don't remember. I know I wasn't out of school for any of the scenes. So.
Right. Okay.
It's possible they did do it during, and they had certain people they selected. That could be true. I don't remember.
Right. But you did have scenes, like you said, down by the water there with the ice cream. And you did have scenes at Bufano's gym. So you had location scenes that you had to show up for.
Yep. You show up at a certain time and they told you what to do. And that was pretty much it. You just didn't speak. You didn't have a speaking part.
Right. And some of those scenes were late at night. Like how late were they keeping you there?
Like that prom night scene, that was at night. That was absolutely at night, but that was like probably like 8 o'clock at night.
Right.
And that would go on until they got what they wanted as far as scenes,
As far as production value goes, the lighting leaves a lot to be desired in this episode. It's so dark. So when the dark scenes are there, it's so dark.
It's a typical, when you watch that or any other film that they did during that time period in the late 80s, it's the 80s.
Oh, yeah,
like, I mean, it could be the 90s, but I mean, you kind of know it's old,
You know it's the 80s. The 80s filming, especially for television or TV movies, had a very grainy and dark, typical style to them.
Yes.
All right, so here's the other thing. So now your school's been involved in the filming of this after school special. You've had location shots. They were there for 2 weeks. January of 1989 comes where they're going to air this thing, January 19th. Is there a viewing party?
No.
Really?
No, I mean, it's very possible that anybody that was in it might have done something special, but like the school doing something special?
Right,
no,
yeah.
No, nothing like that.
Oh, that's a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, today that would be totally different, right?
Right. No, that would have been like a bigger deal. There would have been a viewing party in the gym at the very least.
Yeah, certainly. Listen, I wasn't invited if it was happening.
Right.
It was like hey, you want to earn a couple extra dollars, you want to get exposed to maybe possibly an acting career, just the starting of it.
Right.
And I don't even know if I was interested in that. I was just curious, like any other 18-year-old, 17, 18, well, 17 at that point, was just curious about being, involved in, it's right there. It's not like I got to go far, and they need people in a car and, it could be something. I mean, if you become famous or whatever, you could say you got your start and you know how that goes. They would put you and say, look, here he was back then, but I don't know if anybody that was in that pursued an acting career as a result,
And you did not?
No, not at all. I had no interest in doing that.
No, but it was very cool. If ABC had come to my high school, I definitely would have said, yeah. I mean, why not?
Yeah, it was like the thing to do. You just do it,
You couldn't mess it up. You had no lines.
No lines. You didn't have to worry about that. You just did what you were told. They had various scenes, and they would take those over. They would get them out of the way that time period. Like they didn't wait like, okay, this didn't work out tonight. We'll just do that scene tomorrow.
Right.
They just focused on getting that scene done, then they'd move to something the next day.
Let's talk about the scenes that did not make it into the episode. So anybody that wants to watch this particular episode of the After School Special, you can look it up. It's free on YouTube. Somebody absolutely taped it on a VHS tape and then digitized it, because there are times where the screen goes completely fuzzy and then comes back in, goes fuzzy, comes back in. But they did do a good job putting it up. It's up there for free. Be aware, it's very, it's rough. They do not shy away from racial slurs.
Yeah.
Be aware. I don't even know if something like this would be made today and put in that kind of a time slot.
Probably not.
So anybody that wants to see the whole episode, it's there. It's about 45 minutes long after they've cut out the commercials. So what were you in that did not make it into the episode?
Probably a lot of, obviously, with the main characters inside the house. Those are scenes that you don't see any extras in. You see the main characters. The nightclub, you might see where the mom is singing. I mean, they did have people in there.
Oh, okay.
I was not in there. I was watching that scene from on the outside, but I wasn't involved in that scene. There was quite a few that looked like the attorneys. Was it the district attorney's office or whatever it was, the prosecutor? Like there's students and there's background people in there. I wasn't part of that. Some of the major scenes, though, like the gym, that was a big part.
What scenes that you were cut out of? What were they having you do? Were you fighting at the same time?
Oh, you mean before they filmed it? They were just trying to have you practice so that when you did do the scene, you were doing what they wanted. If you never boxed before, and you got these big gloves on, and you're hitting a boxing bag or you're sparring with someone else, those are the things that are going on while they're trying to film the scene, because they shifted people around and they tried a different angle. They might have played the same scene over, so they might have had different people in different spots. I don't think they knew exactly who, they were looking for something, but they were going to play out different angles of different people being in different scenes and then obviously pick from that, which they did. The scenes outside in the street, the prom scene was a big event because they blocked the whole street off. Everybody's interested in watching that from afar. It's kind of cool when you're in it and everybody's watching and they're like, oh, I wonder who that is, because they don't know who you are, and then they do that scene over and then you start to get tired of it after a while, though, because it's like, okay, didn't you get this? It doesn't look right yet,
Of course it didn't look right. They're filming in the dark. They're not using any lighting.
The concept was, listen, I mean, I didn't pick the episode. They came and I just said I'd volunteer as an extra. So you're part of a bigger theme message, with racism, which at the time, like I was thinking about, I was like, well, this is a real problem. This is actually a good message that someone sticks up for the right thing. So in some ways, you could never imagine me as the bad guy or a villain or a bully in any of this, because that's not my style. But here they were putting me up as that, right?
Right. Yeah. You were part of the racist gang trying to beat the kid up on prom night. It's like wrestling. Somebody's got to play the heel.
Yeah, somebody has to. And I was so disconnected. Like, I would never be, if someone gave me that role, I'd be like, no, I don't want to do that.
But that's cool that you did mention that you actually got to watch some of the other scenes from the sidelines, like Betty Buckley at the nightclubs.
Yeah, I'll be very honest. When I think about it more, as you said, I think some of those stars, even the rising ones, my impression, my perception is that they were very standoffish. Like they were there in their own little club, and I wasn't part of that club. So I was just the filler, you know, they're not looking to get to know you. Hey, thank you for joining in with us today. You know, there was none of that. This was a whole different, you know, like this is a job, we're acting, you know, you're in it. Just do your part. Like, I didn't feel like I was part of, you know, they were making me feel welcome.
Yeah, that's typical Hollywood. No, you're right. They had a job to do. They were there to work. They probably didn't want to be in Bayonne, New Jersey.
Probably not, but this is what they were, you know.
They signed up for it, that's for sure.
That's right.
All right. Anything else that you remember specifically that stands out?
No, I mean, they did film that whole thing in that town, except for the scenes in the gym, which were Jersey City. It would be interesting to find other people that were in that and see what their perception was like. Maybe they can add a new angle to it. But for me, I mean, it was just an event in my life as a 17-year-old. Nowadays,
this would be better documented and you would have a mention at the very least in IMDb or something.
You're right about that. There's no credit mention. There wasn't anything posted about us.
No, you would think nowadays, if ABC were to still do that, it would be a big deal for the kids. It would be a big deal it would even be better business for ABC to include the names of the extras.
Yes. And listen,
they paid you anyway.
That's right. Unless I told you when I did tell you about that I was in this, and it was not a big deal at all. It was just, hey, this was something that I was, joined in when I was 17. You wouldn't even know. You wouldn't even be asking me these questions right now, and I probably wouldn't be talking about it. So.
How long have I known you? I've known you since well back into the 90s.
Yes. We'll say 20 plus. How's that?
20 plus easily, which means this was at least 10 years before that.
Right.
And I didn't know until about 2-3 years ago.
I know. I don't even know why I mentioned it to you.
Because it's amazing. I love that you mentioned it to me, and I've been fascinated with it ever since that I know at least somebody who was in an after school special, which is so cool.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. It was a timely thing, right? It doesn't exist anymore. If you didn't find it on YouTube, where are you going to find it? And it came a point where I think I looked on YouTube prior to you finding it on there, and it wasn't on there. So
no,
it's somebody wanted to post it for some reason. So I thought it was interesting that you wanted to know about it, to talk about it. It's definitely a different topic to talk about. Let's put it that way.
Absolutely. And that's why I wanted this. I figured it's going to be back to school time. This is pretty much the end of the first season of my podcast. Yeah. And I just figured this would be a fun one, for back to school.
And this is one of those times where you had to be home to watch it, unless you put it on VHS. There was no DVR.
This was appointment television. And you know what? If you missed it, did they replay them? Did they rerun them?
I don't think they did. And I think, you saw it. And if you know about it, you know about it. There were other episodes, obviously, from all those years. But
right.
I don't think they did reruns. I could be wrong on that. It's not like I was looking for them. But I don't believe they did that. It was like one and done.
All right. So you told me that you were in this a few years ago. I can't remember if it was 3 or 4 years ago. But the YouTube video was uploaded 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's been sitting there for a dozen years.
Because I was looking for a better copy than what I have, and everybody's like, "Oh, just YouTube." And I looked at it, I was like, "It's not on there."
Oh, so you do have a copy?
I do have a copy of it.
The one that you taped way back when?
Yes, on the VHS.
Wow. Which is 35 years old. If you taped it that day. Wow. That's fantastic.
Well, that was the only way that you were going to
No, absolutely.
Other than watch it live, which I did.
That's amazing. Dave, before we run out of time, I know you're a busy man. I want to thank you for coming on and talking some after school specials with us here on the Busy Signal.
I enjoyed coming on. I love talking about this. Definitely off topic. Like, this was not something people would be thinking about. And so I hope I added to your show in doing so.
You really did, because up until now, it's been great. We talk about a lot of old school stuff that doesn't exist anymore, but talk about something that doesn't exist anymore. The after school special, gone.
Yeah. It's definitely after school now.
Dunkaroos. They brought Dunkaroos back, but they're not bringing back the after school special.
Nah, that would be a surprise if they did.
It sure would. Dave, thank you very much again.
All right. It was good talking to you, Jim.
Have a good one.
All right.
I'd like to thank Dave again for taking the time to come on the show. The ABC after school specials were a very cool part of TV history. So to have somebody who has an up-close and personal experience with an episode, that's just really awesome. I'm not even sure a series like these specials could even be made today, for almost obvious reasons. Not to mention the episodes from back in the day really don't hold up even by quality standards. The film quality is ugly at times, the lighting is terrible, and at times the acting isn't really the best. But despite these flaws in cinematography and acting, the content was for the most part always coming from a well-intended place. Even if it got heavy at times, as was the case in the episode Dave has been in. The series brought a sense of social morality that you'd kind of be hard-pressed to find in today's TV and streaming content. And not for nothing, the ABC after-school specials were nothing to sneeze at, because there were loads of big names and celebrities in these episodes. It was also a huge catalyst for future stars and celebrities. Did you watch the after-school specials? Do you remember them? Did you have one in particular that you really remember from back in the day, or one you really liked? Or even one that you were like, what did I just watch? That was awful. Hit me up on Instagram at BusySignalCast and share that memory. I'll share it on a future episode. Until next time, everybody, thank you for hanging out. This has been Special. Catch you later. Once again, I'd like to say thanks for listening. And as always, you can listen to the Busy Signal everywhere quality podcasts are streamed. Hit the subscribe button to have a new episode delivered directly to your favorite device every other Friday. If you really like the show, leave a 5-star rating or a positive review on Apple and Spotify. That lets everybody else know to come check out what you already think is awesome. You can also head over to Instagram and follow the show at BusySignalCast for even more retrostalgic content. I share a good amount of fun stuff that isn't mentioned on the episodes. While you're there, say hi in the comments. Don't be shy. And until next time, remember, reach out and touch the past.
ABC After School Specials.